Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. On the couch with us today is Ross. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good to see you, man.
So we just got back from our trip, our spring break
And we've
trip.
completely forgotten how to do this.
Yeah,
I'm like, my ears hurt. It's too loud. I don't want to talk into this thing. It's
Dan
all
said, I'm going to start recording. He hit the rewind button like 3 or 4 times.
I
It was
did.
crazy.
I did. It's
Yeah.
nuts. I have no idea what I'm doing in here. Hell's a popping on a Monday.
We'll tell you about Manscaped, though, if you want some beard trimmers, some downstairs
If you
grooming
want
products.
to shave, if you want to shave your legendary gray sideburns, maybe you went on a ski trip and you found out that as you were skiing with your family that your cheeks go full gray. Maybe you found that out. Not me. I'm not talking about me. Maybe you have a friend. Maybe I have a friend that has poofy gray-haired cheeks that he uses the beard hedger, and he manscapes them good.
I did. Maybe the handyman. You could throw this in your car.
I like the handyman.
It's easily rechargeable. Use promo code TOMANDDAN20 for 20% off your purchase and free shipping worldwide. Manscaped.com.
Manscaped, my balls is hot.
So
I was going to bring that up with you guys because I was listening to Rainn Wilson, Dwight from The Office. He has a podcast.
Soul Pancake.
No, it's this one where he's like pretending
that was
to
his
be.
company, though. Soul Pancake.
It's called Dark Air, I think. He's pretending to be like a Alex not Alex Jonesy, but more of a George Norrie type of character, and it's interesting. I've listened to a couple.
Is it a fictional?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's playing a character. He does a Manscaped ad that is like triple X-rated, and I wanted to tell you guys.
Oh,
Check it out.
really?
Yeah, it
we
is.
do some pretty graphic ones.
Couldn't even begin to say it.
Before we moved the Manscaped
Dwight's
property,
doing Manscaped, so why?
he's shaving his beats.
I know what they pay. It can't be worth it.
We before we moved the
they pay him
Manscaped
more than
property,
you.
No, I
we
know
know
that,
they do. We know
But
they
I
do.
mean, even if it's 10 times more, it still can't
It's
be
probably 200.
Before we
Yeah,
moved it to
yeah.
ACT,
Good point.
Manscaped was filthy. We used to do some real bangers.
Yeah.
Some real nasty.
We had to move shows because they canceled the other one.
Yeah, they canceled the other one. We're like, well, may we offer you a corporate time, Manscaped?
Yeah. Don't put this in there.
Yeah, cut this part out. Who are we talking to anymore? The lady that cuts the things out's gone.
What's
What's her name?
It's just us
Where's
now.
Sam?
Anyway, so a couple things. One, I got back at 2:30, 3 in the morning last night, or yesterday morning, whatever.
Them budget tickets.
And
Flying in the middle of the. Or were you trying to squeeze every bit of vacation out of
no,
vacation?
it's also why we left on a Friday instead of
you had like
Saturday.
an hour and a half to pack, right? We ended the show on oh, you were here. We ended the show, and this guy's like, he's like, I gotta go. I have about 2 hours before we fly out. I'm like, 2 hours?
He looked like the human version of a fizzling fuse.
Yeah.
He just looked like he was burning alive.
But yeah, by the way, that last show, we woke up at 3:45 in the morning for a 6 a.m. flight that on that day, whatever, and then we just got back.
Barely even have time to get drunk enough to go to sleep.
3 in the morning yesterday morning.
Yeah.
So, but the flights were delayed a couple times, and the first
Big storm,
time,
right?
No, this had nothing to do with a storm. It was complete
Obama.
coincidence, random weird thing. So when we were leaving Colorado, or whatever. So we're loading the plane, and like
Did Tommy and Max throw all their drugs away in that little amnesty bin on the way out?
No. I take them in my pocket.
I've always wanted to put my weed in there just to say I put my weed in there, but I don't want to get rid of my weed.
I always wanted to reach into there and grab stuff out of it just to say I got drugs out of the amnesty box.
Did I ever tell you the time, this was years ago when I used to be nervous about flying with weed, that I took a handful of gummies and I put them in the kids' pack and play?
I do remember this, yeah.
Didn't
you almost get divorced over this?
Yeah.
Well, Crystal was...
Or is that the real part I shouldn't say? Because I remember
You know
this
what?
being, no, I'm dead serious. I think there was some, if I remember correctly, you had hidden this in a diaper bag or something, and then
I think it was something the kids were carrying.
Your wife, I thought Chris was going to kill you, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
I remember this story.
You put them in Dora the Explorer's backpack.
I wouldn't tell this one.
Remind me never to tell Crystal anything I'm doing, because that's really the
yeah.
problem. Because if I
She's
just
gonna
kept
rat you out.
If I just kept it quiet, then everything will be fine, because everything's always fine.
But why do you tell her everything? This happens all the time when I'm like, hey, don't call her and tell her that, and you do.
You should really get "Don't Tell" and "Crystal" just tattooed on your palms.
I have to get it off my chest. I can't live with it, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, if I get arrested in front of my sons.
You are the worst Edgar Allan Poe character of all time.
So
sometimes I want to tell my wife sometimes, because like she's so she's been living with me 20 plus years now. She's so inured to it. Every once in a while, like I got something, I'm just like, this will surprise her. I can't wait. You know?
Yeah. So we load the plane, and first, like, everybody's in a hurry to stand in line to get on the airplane.
I don't know why people do
Dumbest thing ever.
It makes me so nervous as a nervous flyer. There's nothing that aggravates me more because I'm a sit down until I'm ready to go guy because it helps my nerves. You've seen me do this. It makes me so anxious when everybody starts pacing and lining up. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop that. Stop it!
And it's because like everybody is afraid that the overhead bins are going to be full and they're not going to be able to get their bag.
But that does happen.
It does. But
you should have thought of that. You shouldn't have bought a cheap-ass ticket. You should have got a good ticket so you get on there fast.
The loading crew uses panic as a tool because they want you in there like they don't want you sitting there until the last second and then wait until there's 2 people and getting up in line because that's going to cost them a second or two. So they say last call when there's 85 people still in line a million times.
And so we've been flying enough where I'm just like, let's just wait until all the line is in there.
There's no guy that posts up at the end of the line with a machine gun and says, no, they said last call. You can't get in line now.
Are you a paper ticket man or are you a digital ticket man?
It's all digital now. It's all on your phone.
I still go and demand a paper ticket. I just like the feel. I like the feel. I also try to smoke on the airplane, but they don't let me do that. They don't let me do it. I wear a fedora too.
So I'm usually, and then Crystal, like, she's anxious, so she wants to get on the plane and get the kids set and whatever. I'm just like, let's wait to the last possible minute, then get on when everybody's sitting down because we have.
I'll boo you if you do that.
Like, we don't have any.
I'll boo you. I'm one of those guys. Like,
no. But like everybody's sitting there.
Right.
But why stand in the line? Because everybody's like.
Somebody has to be last in line. Why not be last in line?
Yeah. And then you're standing. You're doing that awkward thing where you're just walking 2 inches at a time in between the seats, waiting. Like, what the hell are we doing? Just wait. Anyway.
Best case, you get on that plane and then you sit on that plane where you're going to be sitting for several hours anyway for like an extra 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't like people standing next to me while I'm sitting in again, as a nervous flyer, when you're all lined up down the aisle and I'm in the middle of the plane and you're like standing next to me real close to their bags, it freaks me out.
Going in, I don't mind. Going out, though, the guy that like stands in the aisle and just waits for them to open the doors for however long that takes.
That's the guy I almost got in a fight with. Remember when I was pushing my bag into the guy 100 times?
Kneecap that guy.
Sit down, sir.
Yeah.
He
can now. He already left his seat. He can't. There's no more seats.
So anyway, so we get in line. We're like some of the last people to get on the plane.
What are you wearing, by the way? Sorry, not in a weird way, but in like a...
Oh, I'm full
bathrobe, hair rollers, fuzzy slippers.
No, I wear hoodie, jeans, and my running shoes. A comfortable dad
you have like
attire.
Fortnite pajama pants. You gotta have on a tie-dye.
By the way, but when I travel, like, I put a hat on and I put earbuds in.
Hey,
and
can I tell you something?
I take 2 gummies and I'm going.
Can I give you a compliment?
Yeah.
I haven't given you a compliment since you've been back.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. Wore a hat on this holiday, on this vacation. I saw you wearing hats.
Yeah.
I called the family I was like, he's wearing hats. He's wearing hats. You still rocked a few bandanas, but you had the hat on. I was proud of you. You had a man, like a curved man's hat.
I'm getting into the vacation dad hat, or you put on a hat when you're on vacation. Anyway, so
I recently purchased a Smokey the Bear hat.
Oh, did you?
I have a Smokey the Bear hat.
A hat with Smokey the Bear on it, not a Smokey the Bear style hat.
Oh no, I have a Smokey the Bear that says don't cause forest fires.
It's not the first time that's caused confusion. By the way.
So anyway, we're in line in the gangway, which is a weird.
Yeah, you think you're fancier than me because you know all the stuff? You think you're fancier than me because you know all the stuff?
Just the hallway that plugs into the plane.
It's the plastic hallway that you stand in, where they put the wheelchairs.
On the port side or the starboard side?
And we're
damn it, you guys are smart today.
we're waiting, and then all of a sudden, Crystal's like, "Oh no, there's a problem." They called what they call like a red jacket, and Crystal knows.
I know what that means. Somebody had their period on the plane. I've seen the red jacket before. Then they're going to come in there with some wet wipes.
And Crystal knows the lingo because her mom was a flight attendant for 45 years.
Some old lady had her period on the plane.
And they're like, they called, and so then we all halt.
We got an old girl in my red jacket.
And then there's a red jacket, and then she's calling in support, right? And
it's a big one. Heavy flow. It's a heavy flow red jacket.
And she's like, everybody stop, get to the side.
Get to the side. It's the elevator from The Shining.
God. We have someone that needs to deplane, and they have a medical emergency, right? So
that's not a medical emergency. That's just that's the meaning of life.
We're standing in the gangway, and we're not, I can't even see the door to the plane. Like it turns a left or whatever. So we're just standing there with like probably 20 people. And
that's a lot of people.
But it's the last 20 people, so everybody else is on the plane. So then all of a sudden,
do you hear anything?
No, just the lady standing there, and then so we see two like airport EMTs come, and then all of a sudden,
Where'd you put the tampons? I don't have any tampons.
Local Denver fire department shows up, and then I'm like, this ain't good. Like this is gonna be a while.
Oh, like that old man that died at Walmart. I saw.
So they bring the little airport or like the airplane wheelchair, the one, the tiny skinny one, whatever. So they bring that. They like the firefighters there, EMTs there, and they have to get someone off the plane. So we're sitting there waiting, and then they all of a sudden they bring in a stretcher.
Oh no!
And I'm like, well, this isn't good. Like they're bringing a stretcher. I'm like,
passed out.
And then I'm like, did the guy have a heart attack or whatever? But no one's in a huge rush, so it's not like And I think if someone has like a heart attack or they do something like that, like they get everybody off the plane. So something's happening.
But
someone's
they're not
having
making
an episode.
you leave.
No, they're not making us leave, and they just like, we have to get this person who's having a medical emergency out. So
chat room thinks somebody got too inebriated or stoned.
That's what we thought.
All right.
We thought inebriated, took the Xanax too early.
That's a good guess.
Because if someone, a lot of times they'll like forcefully remove you if you're just sitting there like unconsciously
drunk. Have I ever done that when I've flown with you? I don't think. No.
I'll hold you up like commando.
I'll
put the pith helmet. Yeah. Like we're good.
It's fine.
All right. I'll wait. All weekend at Bernie's you out of there.
And I'm little too, so I'm the perfect one to do that.
So they get this all of a sudden they get the person on the stretcher, right? And
man
so
or woman?
It's a man, a younger guy too.
You always want a woman because you want him to be. We have to cut her shirt off.
And then I hear,
let her breathe.
I hear the person like, oh, he grabbed a handful of candy, like whatever. So my stepdad was diabetic, so I realized like, oh, this is a diabetic issue, right?
He grabbed a handful of candy. They just had an open candy
they
bucket.
They have candy bowls.
Sir, shut your candy bowl. You're killing people.
They have candy bowls near. I think it's for diabetes because it's like, here, have some candy so you don't.
I hope they take the wrappers off because that's not going to do much.
Or did he get a handful of candies out of the amnesty box and he's freaking out?
So it looks like this guy's having a diabetic episode, right? And I know that because my stepdad used to have diabetic episodes all the time because
you watched him faint in the kitchen in his jean shorts. His balls would hang out. And
so this guy is in and out of consciousness, and they must have given him the
Narcan him because we don't know what to do.
they must have given him like the sugar gel in his mouth or whatever. So his mouth was foaming.
For too much candy? Wouldn't they need to give him like insulin or something at that point?
Well, they need to give you sugar because your sugar's crashed.
Nobody had a handful of candy is what Ross was saying.
Yeah, he had too much candy, so he's spiking, right?
No.
Quick, give him some, I don't know, saltines.
He grabbed the can. My stepdad would do this. He'd realize he's starting to go into some sort of episode and he needs sugar.
Oh, it's like the equivalent of like in the shower you're dying and you grab the shower curtain and pull it down. Yeah. So it's like you grab the candy bowl and you dump all the candy out.
Okay, so he went for the candy, and that's how they knew. Okay, I got you.
And then they were
stealing some kids' Ike and Mikes.
Mm-hmm.
So they had filled his mouth with the sugar, gel they give someone having a diabetic episode.
What'd you put in his mouth? Subway mayonnaise.
So everybody there was like, get to the side of the gangway or whatever. So we're standing on the side, but they have a full size firefighter stretcher in the thing. Man. So we're literally, and then the boys are face to face with this guy that's laying on the stretcher, right?
Foaming.
So then
gel foaming.
So as
the foaming is how you know it's working.
As they pull, and I feel bad for the guy. But I know from my stepdad, you can have like hundreds of these diabetic episodes.
It's fine. It's fine. Little embarrassment.
But he
this guy's getting free paced. He's getting a ride in the wheelchair. He's fine.
But he kept coming to and then passing back out.
Where's my candy? I want my candy.
Every 5 seconds, and they wouldn't like they were taking some time to fill out some paperwork or whatever.
Hit him with the head. Hit him with the head and knock him out.
And so the guy would come to and to be like start talking like whatever and then fall back out, like pass back out. So as they're wheeling him, like my sons are just standing there, and then all of a sudden like he turns his head. He's like, right in Tom's face. And then I felt like putting my hand there to to shield his face.
No, let him see it. He'll be better for it. He'll be better for it. You know how I feel about this.
He needs to see.
You know how I feel about this.
I guess a guy having an episode.
The same way when I
make him tougher.
Same way when I had massive diarrhea at the Current. I made my daughter look at me in the eyes while it happened. You got to let them know that that life is hard.
And so then that took a while. Then we flew to Atlanta, and then there was another delay where we were waiting.
Did you find out about him?
What, the guy?
Because I feel like your wife is the type of person where you guys land in Atlanta, and then she spends a good amount of time, because she's very caring, calling to find out what happened to the guy.
No, well, knowing my stepdad and how many episodes he had,
he
would have an episode fall off his three-wheeler and they'd be in the woods for a while, and then they give him sugar.
Just keeps rocketing.
It would happen all the time.
What's the most dangerous place he ever had an episode?
Well, he had one like when he first started dating my mom. My mom didn't know. He also
they got to invent like a sugar tooth. Follow me with this. It's a good name too. It's an old horse name. They need like a sugar tooth that is in your mouth that you can like cyanide.
Like a suicide capsule.
Yeah, because like the getting to your pocket, getting to your bowl of candy, it just doesn't cut it. You need something where you can just like and bite it, and you're like, I got it, and I'm,
By the way, this is how much of a real man my stepdad was. Like, you would think, like, he's part of this family. He was like a part of my family for like 12 years or whatever. You would think he had like full-blown diabetes, that he would constantly have episodes, is on insulin or whatever. You would think he'd have some conversation with the oldest son of the family, like, hey, if this ever happens to me, this is what you should do. Yeah, here's what you do. I can have the. Never talk to me once about it.
Yeah.
Never.
The chat room's filled with people that deal with this in their families. People use peanut butter. People carry. They have insulin pumps. People candy necklace. All kinds of stuff.
Oh, candy necklace.
He never told me, like, if this happens, you should do this. Call 911. It would have never had any conversation.
If I fall off my three-wheeler, shove my candy necklace.
Never told me nothing about it.
I've been looking for an excuse to wear a ring pop for years.
I think that would be a good look for you.
Yeah, sure.
I think that would be a good look for you.
Yeah. Then our flight got delayed.
Regarding your stepdad, is that real man or is that dumb as hell? Because like a real
he
man
never likes
should
to talk about it.
A real man should be like prepared to to defend the family. And when the coyotes come and you're having if you go into a diabetic coma because you didn't keep track of your blood sugars,
you're thinking different type of real man. I'm thinking the real man that doesn't talk about any medical problem that he has or emotion or any like
my dad would go to the doctor with all of his medical work with him, and the doctor would be like, how you feeling? He'd be great, and he'd leave. And he's holding a whole file of why he's dying.
So anyway, it was and then I have a couple other stories for the BDM show.
God. What did the boys say? Because this is they're also like, they're very good children. They're good guys. They're like,
they were freaked out a little.
Or what was their take afterwards?
Well, I was trying to explain the diabetes.
No, you got to use that. You got to be like, that's what happens to kids who aren't quiet on the plane.
They gave them poison.
That's a dad who went crazy from bad sons. You could use that one. That's a good. Look at
really
how
good.
He went cuckoo crazy.
Dan, I've never been more proud of you. That's awesome.
Thank you. I learned it from you, dude.
Yeah.
Everything I said that would happen to me as a father, I was wrong and you were right. I've said that to you a million times. I'll continue to beat that drum.
So just because I'm talking about it, I'll tell the other story I wanted to tell for ACB
also because you're
Ross.
Contractually obliged to
That's true. That was the agreement.
And then I want to talk to Daniel about his trip to Georgia because he went to the Van House.
Daniel went down to Georgia?
Yeah, Danny went down to Georgia.
I was looking for an Indian house, and I found it. Native American.
So we did this hike. Like, we went to Colorado, but we decided to drive over to Moab because we missed this hike last time that we all wanted to do called Fiery Furnace, right? And so it basically
sounds fun.
I laughed at the same thing too. That sounds awesome. Yeah, Fiery Furnace.
They only give
Let's go walk the ankle breaker. What do you say?
Ooh, I got the passes for Satan's butthole.
They only give out 75 passes a day. So they're hard to get, and apparently everybody knows it's like a sought-after hike.
We tried here, and 3 computers failed miserably.
And so the last time we went to Moab in October, we didn't get to get the passes. So then Crystal tried a couple days in a row. Like Daniel, like Sam, we all were getting on there trying.
Andrea tried.
Crystal actually got them.
Good job.
Because they sell it instantly.
It was Sam's last day. She was like, "Yeah, I'm trying."
I did look. I
can't get into the website.
Yeah. It was a minimal mouse move over there. I saw that.
So, so then we decided to drive over since it was only 3 hours from where we were at, and we decided to stop at some ski mountain called Powderhorn before that. And anyway, it worked out. So we get the passes for the hike, and we have to show up at the ranger station like at the beginning of Moab, because you have to take this they give you this video to watch, and they give you instruction because it's a protected area, and there's only 75 people allowed in a day, and it's more of a serious hike of like, here's you once you're in there.
Did they give you a level on it, like this one? Because we did a lot of hiking too, and they would give you a level. They'd be like, this is a 1 or a 1 to 3, or this is a strenuous, or this is a.
It's funny because if you go online, a lot of people online were saying like, oh, this is, be careful. Like they're warning like you can get lost in there. This is not a hike for beginners or whatever. Like the online they try to
dumb old people.
Yeah, well, also I realize in a lot of online they're speaking to morbidly obese grannies. Because
they hike a lot. I saw tons of morbidly obese grannies. Yeah, because not obese.
That
still works.
Because people will some lady will get in there that's in her 60s.
Saw that.
What?
Saw that in Georgia.
Yeah,
I got stories
that haven't worked out.
Oh, they get up the mountain, they can't get down.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't know.
And they need to get rescued.
That's why I want to talk to park rangers. That's number one thing I came back from hiking was we got to get a park ranger on here, man, because they must rescue thousands of fat old people. Thousands.
People do not realize what their abilities are.
I didn't know you were going to talk about this. We didn't talk about this pre-hand.
Let's talk about it.
I saw 6 different ladies six. We counted them. 6 different ladies that went up a mountain. Every bigger lady that's older, like an old lady. These are old ladies. All of them in Crocs. And I'm like, you can't hike in that, man. Yeah. What you're attempting to do is impossible for even athletes.
I almost got kicked out of a park because it's spring break. So I took one of my kids paddling. And we went up and rented some canoes, and part of the canoe form you fill out is like your automobile in case you don't come back.
Yeah.
Then there's my gray Subaru sitting there. They know to go look for us specifically.
He's dead in there.
So my kid's filling out his form next to me, and he's like, "Do I put same car as you?" I was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna hide your body and drive away." And the lady who was renting the canoes got real serious about it for a minute.
They don't let you messing around.
No.
Yeah.
So
park rangers they also see the lowest of the low people.
Oh yeah, and they're
park
sad
rangers,
because people ruin the environment.
Yeah, I want to be one.
This guy was telling he's like, do you know if this guy?
You're gonna go out there and F it up, aren't you?
No, he was mad.
I can tell you want to go out there and vape, don't you?
So
you're gonna go out there and vape and look at the sunrise and maybe try to make some content for your OnlyFans. You get the hell out of my fiery furnace, boy.
This old man came in here, and he's been doing this for 30 years, so he's seen the worst of humanity ruin the environment, and
it's free or $5, right?
Everything's
free or $5.
$10.
Yeah, $10.
Yeah. Like for an unbelievable. I mean, this
you're
place.
Seeing magic.
Yeah, you go to the parks, and you spend $1,000 a day. Like this is insane.
I'm seeing the largest waterfall I've ever stood under in my entire life, and it was a $5 car ride. For everybody.
What is the draw at Fiery Furnace? Because marketing-wise, I'm not in.
It's an area of it's a maze of
Indiana Jones tunnels, man.
Yeah, of fins. There's things called fins and arch. Basically, the arches were prior fins, and fins are created by erosion from wind and
are we talking about those striated towers that the Roadrunner and the Coyote are always running by?
100%.
Those things?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It looks like Radiator Springs.
And it's like a maze in there of these crazy formations that have all
tunnels
culminated.
And slides
and so the actual little 2-mile hike is through the most unbelievable terrain you've ever witnessed. Okay. That's 50 feet high pillars in some cases, boulders, and unbelievable washout hikes of it's insane. You're looking around, every turn is you're taking
all
pictures
of that created by water flow,
water, wind, and just erosion over a million years. Who knows?
Earth friction.
It's insane. But anyways,
I mean, the guy who just hiked it should probably know. It's
he
cool.
was high. I told you he was vaping. You are not paying attention to that.
Virtually impossible to get the passes, by the way, because they sell out instantly every single day.
Oh, I just got one.
You can get them in the summer, like the summer or the winter.
Fiery furnace.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But anyway, so the old man park ranger that came in, he was telling us stories. He's like, I witnessed a mom and her daughter rip a cactus out of the ground.
I love to rip. That was a good rip. Rip a cactus out of the ground.
And then they
I've never been more mad in my entire life.
And they picked it up and they said, "What's this?" And he's like,
I said it's a cactus, you dumb bitch.
like, that cactus has been growing there for 50 years.
His name was Thomas the cactus.
So he was just telling us how horrible humanity is, and he's also, there's this thing called biological crust that grows in the desert.
Oh yeah.
So
your wife talked about that on a video show. I believe
yeah.
It gets in their panties at times.
What's it good for? Can you smoke it?
So it's basically like this black mildew that grows on the sand.
Don't be touching my crust, boy.
Yeah.
And what it does, it holds the water. It basically turns sand into soil for the desert plants to use
it's a
to grow.
necessary resource out there.
But the problem is it takes like 50 years for 1 inch of it to grow.
Oh. How easy is it to destroy?
Oh, I bleached a bunch.
Like if you step on it, it's dead, and it takes hundreds of years to grow back. Hundreds of years. Like it's not even a joke. Like 1 footstep, you've destroyed hundreds of years of biological crust that and you'll kill the plants around
you vapors get out there with your crocs and stomp on my crust.
So it's very important that no one steps on the biological crust, and you have to stay within the washouts,
stay on the path,
or rocks, and you don't get off the path. Don't step on the crust.
Take only pictures. Leave only footprints, not in the crust.
I like a little bit of ranch with my biological crust.
And
I like a flavored biological crust. The
sprinkled.
Cajun is magnifique.
And then of course the old curmudgeon ranger was telling us that he's like, people step on it all the time.
They're always stomping the crust.
He's like, they're taking selfies and walking backwards, stepping on the crust. So hundreds of years of biological crust ruined because your stupid selfie.
I like this old man.
Yeah. So
he's great.
Yeah, he's just telling
Maybe
us how.
Don't put the path through the crust, old man.
You don't tell me.
And what's funny is that this area they don't have any signs or any hey, don't step here. They want to leave it untouched.
Not even duck season, rabbit season, nothing like that.
In fact, the only thing in there that tells you where to go are these tiny little
markers,
arrows that are hidden in there, and part of it is getting lost in there and trying to find the arrows, which is really fun for the kids.
Yeah.
But you do get lost, and you get off on paths that are not supposed to be paths. But that's part of it, and they could easily put up signs to keep people in mind, but it ruins it.
Yeah.
Which I like that they're trying to maintain it being a pristine environment without human touch. But people are wandering around stepping on the crust, so the guy's yelling at you, don't step on the crust.
What do you want, a pristine environment or crust on the ground? Make up your mind.
You can't have both.
Mm-hmm.
But most people, I could tell that they were serious about it. And if you wanted to hike this area, you're just not some Yahoo tourist that doesn't care about anything.
Every once in a while, you'll get a few of those.
But you have to put so much effort in to get this ticket that it probably is self-selecting to people who give a damn.
It's probably a little bit on purpose too. If you're going to limit it, it's obviously limited so he can retain some crust.
And I looked around, and the other people are kind of families like us, other hikers or tourists that are into hiking.
Nerd families out there.
Yeah, into nature.
I don't mean that as a diss.
No,
you're into it.
Yeah, you're not just you're dropping your iPhone in the biological crust and then
that's happening.
Shuffling through it or whatever. So, but here's where it gets weird. So then the guy, he's like,
you want to see something? I got a back room filled with Nazi memorabilia.
He's like, the biggest problem we've had out here is human waste. so
here's a bag for you.
No, I'm serious. Sorry. No, he pulls out what looks like a little astronaut bag, right? He's like, if you need it, he's like, these are available at the front desk.
Say something.
He's like, you guys know if you can't
hold
hold
it first and you're feeling something first,
he's like,
grab a bag.
He's
you
like,
maggot.
He's like, it's gotten so bad that the county has had to outlaw people pooping out here. And so I'm like, really?
That old man had to say the word pooping?
And he's like,
that's fantastic. Anytime you can get an old man to say the word pooping.
And so now
I am going to need a list of all the counties in America where it is still legal to poop in a national park, and I'm going to be a huge problem.
And he's
there.
like, you could get a bag, and then like, can you stamp my bag, and you can hang it up? You know, like these are all the bags that I've collected from the places you're allowed to poop in.
You know, like some people go to a nice beach, take a little vial of sand with
patches,
them.
You get a patch.
So then they hand out these little. They look like airplane vomit bags, but they're like ash.
They are.
But they're poop bags.
They're all made by Uline.
The only difference is instead of a mouth hole, it's got a butthole.
Hold on, Jack. It's going to get bad. Anyway, I was going to make a firing joke. Anyway, they're like, if you need this bag, they have them at the front desk because you have to, if it's an emergency, you have to collect it and then take it out of here with
all
you.
Smooth
you
rock
cannot
too.
dig a hole because they're like the rain will and the wind will uncover it like a dead body or whatever.
That I don't believe. I don't believe that the wind and rain come in and they're like, hold on, is that a turd? I don't think that. I don't think that. I think that old man's lying. But I do think that a lot of people are pooping around there and they're like, we got to do something about it.
You want a nice thick biological crust on the ground? Just let me spray around for a little bit. Like,
they call me the crust king.
But it bothered me the whole time I'm walking around. I'm like, how much of a problem could this be?
What about peeing? You're allowed to pee?
Yeah.
So peeing on the rocks is fine.
Yeah, but they don't want you leaving.
Did you guys
anything.
write your name in pee and then take a photo of it? Write Van?
No.
VANN?
So this county commission meeting where they passed the law against pooping on the ground, they definitely had a conversation about, like, put the language in there where they can still pee.
And they have to hand out bags.
Subsection 2 does say urination.
Because it got that bad. So then I started thinking, who goes into this place? No, because
I go in there immediately following a chili dinner. Right afterwards.
Don't you know if you have a medical problem where you cannot hold
I have
that?
IBS.
Right?
Every day is a medical day. Every day is a medical day.
You can't go in there. But
yes, I can.
No, but you like.
There's two things I
you're
can
not
do.
allowed.
Because I have severe crippling anxiety and IBS, I am not allowed to go into fiery furnace because I may have a problem, and I'm not allowed to pilot a helicopter.
And it's just weird that is the place where the last sweet tomatoes is. Like, that should not be right there.
I love sweet tomatoes.
So
I miss you, sweet tomatoes, and your tiny corn muffin.
I'll be right back.
Oh, God, I love the little signs. But I always hated when I'd get a little sign at Sweet Tomatoes and it was crinkled. Give me a fresh cardboard sign.
Absolutely.
So,
and a cookie, please.
Another thing that I was reading before, like on Reddit, they have a bunch of people that have done this, and they were giving like advice or whatever. So
I won't go anymore. Now they make you poop in a bag.
I like to poop free.
By the way,
damn government.
How do you do it?
You're loading it into the bag, right?
No. You gotta try to put it on the. It's like refueling an airplane midair.
Like he didn't describe how to.
Well, he's not going to.
It's like blowing a balloon, but
I think you gotta open it wide open.
Like it's small.
I know, but you gotta lay it flat like a piece of paper.
No, it doesn't open up.
But you know when people do that thing on Facebook where they're like, I was like today years old when I found out you could take a little paper ketchup cup and unfold it to make a flat ketchup plate.
Yeah.
Really?
So that's what you got to do with your poop bag. You got to unfold it and make a plate. And then reassemble it when you're done.
And just dip some French fries in it.
Yeah.
So they in Reddit, this person was telling a story about they're like, last time I was hiking the fiery furnace, there was an old man in there that sprained his ankle, right?
I thought you were just saying something.
And then so they had to call rescue and the rangers or whatever.
This is what I mean about the
Chippendale? They called
Mimas. There were so many Mimas in the woods, in the mountains.
And it took, because it's such a maze in there, you have to squeeze through the different whatever. It took 20 rescuers 6 hours to get this old man out. Like at least
probably sitting right at the beginning, right? They're always sitting right at the beginning.
And I'm like 20 rescuers, 6 hours, and
because they're not loud enough. You pass them 100 times, they're laying there weak.
But over a sprained ankle, and then I was telling Crystal, I was like, there is no scenario unless I'm unconscious or having I'm not barely breathing anymore that I would let 20 people carry me out of this place. Like I'm hopping out of this. Like there's no way I'm going through like with a sprained ankle, having 20 people carry me out on the backboard for 6 hours. Like, just get up and hop, old man.
Maybe they don't let you?
Of course they don't, because once they start the protocol, they're like, get on the backboard. You've seen it before, like they don't let you get out, and they'd be like, so don't
and
even
then it's
start.
A production, like you're like a Chilean miner or something, you know?
Like, just if you are ever just like a sprained ankle or something not that serious, just hop out of there.
How long did it take you to walk through, just you and your kids in your bag of poop? How long did it take you to walk through it?
we
did you bring the bag of poop back?
4.5 hours.
So if you got to go in there and carry out some dumb old man who broke his ankle, it's going to take you 6 or so hours. I would probably budget 8 in.
What I'm saying is, how did that guy let 20 people 6 hours carry him out? Just you say no, and
I'll die here.
No, you put your arm around someone's neck and then hop out of there. You know what I'm saying?
You need like a friend that's willing to do that.
Yes.
Would you beg me to be that friend? I couldn't. You're too big.
Couldn't
carry you out of there.
I'd
have to put you in one of those like collapsible wagons and try to pull
you.
Do
you realize what it would take for me to call a rescuer? I would
a splinter.
I know you've said this. You've said this before.
I'd never
when
do
we're
it.
On a boat. When
I'd
I'm on
never
your boat.
do it.
You've said this before when I'm on your boat, and it's scary.
But
scary.
What'll happen to you is that you'll be in a position where you'll be like, don't call the rescue, but your ankle bone will be jutting out of your calf, and Crystal will call him for you, and you won't be able to jump up and hop out because you got a compound fracture.
Okay,
and you'll just have to sit there until it happens.
Okay, a compound fracture, I'm bleeding out, I'll call a rescuer.
Yeah.
But a sprained ankle or anything broken, you're walking out. This happened when we were skiing. There was like a lady and her kid on the top of the mountain, just like basically sprawled out on the side of a mountain or whatever.
Were they injured? Or?
So, well, when I was snowboarding by, I stopped and, are you guys okay? And they're like, yeah, we're just tired. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, we called rescue to bring us down.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah, people do that all the time.
I'm like, get up and walk.
Oh, you said that to him?
No,
oh my God!
No,
of course not. This guy changed on the trip.
I skied but I was like,
But you were judging him the whole way down the mountain.
You called rescue because you're tired.
Yeah.
Why'd you come out here?
Well, this was an epidemic. When I was in a.
That's not what the rescue's there for. An emergency, not because you're tired.
I think the rest of America disagrees because I was at Amicalola Falls. That's the first place we went to, Amicalola Falls in Georgia State Park. We watched a kid. They built this place up. It's so nice. All the paths for people that like don't hike normally, and this is kind of a problem for like your larger Mimas that want to get up there. They have the beginning parts of it. They have ground up tires and like made this substance that makes like almost like a bouncy track.
Yeah. Kind of what they do playgrounds with now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
like
it's
a rubber mulch.
Like a rubber mulch, but it doesn't move. It's like poured. It's really cool the way that they did it. And
rubber mulch, I don't even know her.
And they have
I've seen this before. It's like a bouncy permanent.
Yeah.
It's not broken up. It's an actual pathway.
But it's for like safety and it's for like old people and there's like wheelchair ramps in the beginning, but then
it's comfortable too.
It is. It's too comfortable. It's like Crocs. It's like Crocs without wearing Crocs.
Like Lake Eola Playground has the same surface now.
They're like, hard dirt is too rough for these people. Yeah. We need bouncy rubber.
And we watched a kid wearing white Crocs. I'm guessing that his Crocs plus the permanent like trail Croc, like the double bounce of it, he hurt his ankle.
No kidding.
And he fell over and Andrew was just like, and the kid he's like, I can't go anymore. And the parents are like, we'll have to carry you down. He was like, carry you down the parking lot. We can see it.
Yeah, well, at least if you carry your own kid, don't call rescue and involve.
No, they went and got the ranger.
Oh, yeah. Then the ranger has to go through protocol. Then the next thing you know,
they're
team
calling the EMT.
Yeah, the firefighters are out there.
It's not good.
I'm maybe 100 years old, but I'm going to say this sentence. You shouldn't be wearing Crocs to all these places. Like, you're climbing a mountain, tie your shoes.
I love Crocs, but they time and a place.
Yeah.
Time and a place.
But what are
at least engage sport mode.
What are they thinking? Like they go.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're not thinking.
They go out and then they are like walking up something.
Oh, we did a strenuous. We did one that was like harder than the one you took us on.
And then they sit down. They're like, call the rescue.
No, we had people that went up. We had a lady that followed us up who was, and I'm not saying this to be judgmental in any way, just to give you the picture. She was like I don't know, 3 times the size of me. Like, she was $3 at least. Smaller lady, older, maybe beginning 60s.
Yeah.
And she was trying real hard. Some places you had to grab a tree and then lift yourself up to get up there.
Those challenging hikes.
Yeah, and then some that like are so hard going down because if you just let yourself go, you're just going to roll down the hill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this lady's never going to make it. Like, you're not. You're actually in a spot right now that Andrea pulled me aside and goes, I don't know if that lady is going to be able to make it down.
Yeah,
like,
that's a problem.
So
they were
steep.
The
and
ranger
she weighs
was
$3, and dude, it's like steps that are as high as like this console. For me, I have to I couldn't do it. I don't
clamber up.
I don't have that stride.
Sure.
I was having to use I have to be baby Wolverine to get up some of this stuff. It's not made for me, right? But this lady's like a little bit taller than me, no hips, and has me by 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And how's she gonna get down? And then it dawned on me that these rangers probably deal with this thousands.
Yeah. They get up there, and no matter what the instruction is or warning, like, hey, this is moderately difficult hike with some steps. Be careful.
This was considered strenuous, they said. Strenuous.
And people listen to it, and they're like, all right, I haven't, done any sort of exercise in 30 years. And I don't.
Which is fine. But it's
I don't care. Yeah, but then what they get on these hikes, and they get up there, and then they can't get down.
Dude.
And then they have to call rescue, and they have to call the rangers, and then
I just realized I'm on your side, Tom. My kid, long story short, we bought a car and we got burned.
Oh.
And he called me the other day. His car was breaking down. It was overheating and smoking.
Oh man!
And when I say smoking, like James Bond trying to hide from the bad guys smoking. And so he's like, "Should we call a tow truck?" And I was like, "No. You will drive it until it starts to overheat too bad. You'll pull over and we'll let it cool, and I'll be behind you just out of the smoke cloud so that nobody hits you going into the smoke." And we limped that thing from Beefy King to my house. It took us like probably 2 hours, but we limped it home.
We're never calling the ranger. No ranger for us.
Now, if you
put those Crocs back on, boy, we're going to drive this smoke machine home.
Yeah. Now, if you had to pay, then that's another thing, because it's like, all right, you pay for a service, like, all right, it's $200 for people to come rescue you, but it's a free service.
I think it's free.
Yeah, because that's what the taxes pay for, or whatever.
That's what your $5 goes to.
It's got to be $5. Dude, 20 rescuers, 6 hours. I was like, how much money is that?
I paid $5 for that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyway, all right, let's take a break. Daniel went to the Van House in Georgia.
I got to tell you I've been doing some real world Native American genealogy digging for old Tom Van.
And I've always known about this house. In fact, when I was a kid, I thought that was my relatives.
I mean, could be.
And my relatives told me that. They're like, the Van House, Georgia.
Could be.
Like, that's your great-great-grandfather.
Yeah, that man was
it's not.
Monster. Well, we'll talk about it.
All right, we'll be right back.
Awesome. Save this guy. That is Monday 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming in today, buddy.
Sure. Yeah.
How'd the show go?
God, it was so good.
Oh, awesome.
It was fucking crazy. It was awesome.
That is very, very good to know. 3, 25, 24. Radio. Oh, SJ, it was pretty damn amazing, man. Really nice place. If you go on Airbnb and just search Ellijay River Retreat, you'll find it. Next, yeah, and Maisie loved it. She wants to book it again so we can tube down the river this time. She did it anyway, but it's a little too cold. She tubed because she's fearless. We didn't do any gold panning. We thought about it on our last day, but we just hung out by the cabin. I did some fishing, just chilling out. Drank a couple cold beers. Hung out for a little bit. Oh, yeah. I got those, and I didn't get a chance to try to see if they worked or not, but they are here. And now my email is nothing but Temu. It's almost like I have a virus. Like, it's like my show email address is completely screwed up, and it's nothing but, like, weird Temu ads like, you better buy this now! And I say it like that because that's how they write it, and it's all crazy products that, like, you better buy this now! Fish! You buy this now! Oil! Like, and I'm like, I don't need any toilet. 50% off toilet. It's crazy. I don't know why. Like Tom and I were like, oh, this will be great. We'll order from Temu for the event, and I did it. And now, like, they're in my system now.
They don't last long though. That'll be gone in a couple months, and there'll be another one.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Right?
Because what was the one previous to Temu?
Alibaba.
That.
Alibaba. Yeah, that's still around, but I think it became AliExpress.
Is that what happened?
Or something?
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I don't keep up with all of the things. Oh, it's a mini Chi-Chi's margarita.
Chi-Chi's. I looked up that commercial after for the.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
All right.
This is today's ACT?
Yeah.
How much do you do for ACT now?
240s for Monday and 240s for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then 140 for Thursday and Friday. So essentially like an hour and a half of content Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then we'll do the BDM show at 1 today. Do an hour show. We'll probably eventually get down to an hour of ACT a day in the future, maybe.
What's he doing? Just filling in like the days with other stuff?
On Thursday, we do best of a mediocre time.
Okay.
The second hour. And then Friday, we've never had that at second hour. There's Bungalow on the Bus is after us. But yeah, we started doing Thursday AMT best of, which is funny because Daniel was listening to it the other day. It's uncensored, but we beep it, or KC beeps it.
Sounds worse than anything we've ever done.
It's the most dangerous thing that Real Radio plays on the air because it's all.
But what it sounds like to me, I was driving and it was Brendan as Brenda, and it just sounded like like because everything is beeped. It sounds like we're just saying the C word a million times. It's crazy.
Well, we've always talked about that. Like, it makes you think worse things than just saying.
But I've never really listened to it. I was in the car, like, I was just driving.
I've never heard it.
Listening to it. I texted him immediately. I'm like, dude, this sounds terrible.
And we've never heard any feedback from it. Like, ever.
It was like
since we started doing it.
He beeped on my beep, and then beep, 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 and then beep, and then beep all over my face, and then beep, 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 and a beep, and I'm like, oh my Jesus.
I'm not convinced that anybody listens to Real Radio anymore. I'm not.
Well, at night it probably. It's
not at night. Nobody listens to us. What are we doing here? 3 and 4?
Yes, 3 and 4. We'll talk about the Van House. I got a question for Ross.
Yeah, you're gonna
a moral question, or a parenting question.
All right. Here we go. A couple of people said they listened to it and they like it. A mediocre time on corporate time.
But
so confusing.
They like it?
Jesus Christ.
Why not just listen to the AM2? Hey, well, you want to listen to the censored version?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not here to question what they like. I'm just like, if you like it, thank you. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, but like the whole uncensored version is on demand.
I don't like that.
We play this a week later.
I want to, in my mind, I want to think that you're being harder than you are.
I just got this car, and the guy previous to me is still paying for the satellite radio, so I've been listening to it. And
don't you dare say a word. Don't even dare call them. I got to do that scam for about 2 years.
I feel terrible about it, but
don't. Satellite radio is so cheap now. When you call them, they'll beg you. They'll like, we'll give it to you.
I was listening to Conan O'Brien's Needs a Friend, and he said, they mentioned, we got a satellite radio station now. I was like, I'll check that out. And I was driving, I turned it on, and it was playing the podcast that I heard the ad for the XM station in. So it was, to your point, why didn't I just listen? I did just listen to the podcast. Why am I not listening to this on satellite?
You're like, you can listen to this on demand.
Yeah. I did a lot of Sirius XM over the weekend, though, because I did find where it is good. It's good for if you like having stuff curated for you, but you don't want to have to pick a playlist that's going to be repetitive. Like there are channels that if you get the right DJs, they're great. Like Willie's Roadhouse that does all 80s and, it's like 60s to 90s country music. They have these old musicians in there, and they pick the right songs. It's kind of like Joseph Martin's with what he does with Sunday Morning Coming Down. But that's the only thing that they have going for them.
We play the 90s on 9 game where we listen to 90s on 9, and we guess song, artist, and the year it came out.
That's a great idea because they put it up there so you can see it.
Yeah.
All right, you ready, buddy?
Yeah.
Here we go because I know I want to keep us on schedule here. All right, here we go. In 3, 2.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan.
A couple things. We're going to be doing our ACT 10-year anniversary live show at the Ritz Theater in Sanford, the Wayne Dench Performing Arts Theater there.
It is the Ritz Theater at the Wayne Dench Performing Arts Center. If you've never been there, great little theater right in the heart of historic downtown Sanford, Florida.
You can get your tickets at TOMANDDAN20 right on the front page. I believe it's more than half sold out right now. But there are tickets left, and I guess if we get through the bottom half, we may open up the top, depending.
Ooh, that sounds naughty.
It's May 31st. I know Ross is going to be there.
What?
Vince Taylor, Ken Miller, doing some stand-up comedy before
Buckethead
the
had to
show.
cancel. He can't make it.
Yeah.
We talked about that on a Friday free show. He can't make it now.
He cannot make it.
Yeah.
It's going to be
moving back to town, by the way. He reached out to me. Yeah, he's moving back to
town. So you can get your tickets at TOMANDDAN.com, and also we've got a BDM only party coming up.
Just made some room on the morning show. Maybe Buckethead's coming in.
You never know.
Oh man, radio gossip is the best.
420. You can come and hang out at the BDM party.
If you're not a BDM, now is the best time to sign up. You sign up, you get extra shows, you get
you can come still. Like if you sign up now, just let us know you signed up, and then we'll let you know all the information.
It's the first time, I believe it is the first time that you and I have actively sat down and mapped out an entertainment like a design for what we wanted the entertainment to be.
Yeah. We got a full-on show.
We got a show.
It's not us.
We're not doing anything, but it's a luau show.
Yeah. It's fire spinners. The whole. We got the whole. And the venue is going to be awesome. There's a pool there. It's a thing. So.
What do you mean it's the first time we've done it? We did like a juggler and a Chinese acrobat at the beach in downtown. We've done this stuff a million times.
Not for BDM. BDM parties typically are like a field. We got like some corn. We got the Suggs
maybe
field.
Ron's out there with a whip.
This is like we're throwing some money at it. We're having to buy some, some fire knives. You know how much fire knives are? They're very expensive.
So Daniel,
and don't even hit me with the LED knives because that's a thing. They can go like, oh, I'm sorry, the fire marshal can't do the fire. We're going to use the LED knives. You get the hell out of here. You pull out the LED knives, no check.
You let me know who said that. They're getting hot stuff.
No check. No check. If you do the LED, it's not the same.
So Daniel went to a place that I've never been to, but I knew about my whole life.
You don't care about your family history. You don't care about your family history.
So when I was a kid...
Wait, hold on. Let me make a joke. Grade school.
This all ties into me being told that I was Native American and that I had Cherokee blood.
I believe the phrase Indian princess was tossed about. Yeah.
I never had it's funny. This was tied in more than the Indian princess or the Cherokee princess.
When you told me, you said that your wife was trying to sneak a peek of you in your, quote, buffalo briefs.
There was two things I was told.
You were down in your wigwam.
Is my middle name's Chisholm because my great ancestors were did the Chisholm Trail.
His middle name is Chisholm. Everybody likes his Chisholm.
Which I did a presentation in the 3rd grade about. Lied to everybody.
Your middle name's Chisholm because your mom named you that.
That's Florida history. That's redneck Florida history.
And so it's a family name, Ross. My pop-pop's middle name was Chisholm, but that was it. It was just him.
So he was the
my
start
dad.
of the
The Tom Van the first.
So Merle was the start of the.
Yeah.
I mean, was your grandfather honestly? Was he Scottish?
I don't know. He don't know. No one knows.
You can figure it can't be. No one can figure it out.
There's no way to know.
I'm sorry. An AI's here, so an AI will take over soon. There's no way of knowing.
He was white, so yes. He was white with blue eyes, yes.
He had those big Scotsman bushy.
From Europe,
The Scotsman got them bushy eyebrows like you got. You got Scots eyebrows.
Pop would be so mad that you're implying he would wear a skirt ever. Oh, he'd be so mad right now.
Now, he claimed his dad was very tan like a Native American would be. But the picture he showed me from World War I, by the way, it was black and white, and I was like, he worked outdoors as like some miner. I was like, who knows?
Yeah,
like,
everybody was black back in the day.
He was tan
even
because
the
he
white
worked
people. When you were poor, you were a white person. You were black from being in the coal mine.
Yeah. Like you were working outdoors and
dirtier. We're whitest we've ever been as white people right now because we're so indoors. We're pink. We're pink. It's a pink nation.
My father was very tan. Yeah, Pop, because he predated suntan lotion.
Yeah. It was like in the 1900s. You worked
My grandfather is brown. You're pink, boy.
So,
let me tell you a little bit about it.
Anyway, but the second piece of evidence I had when I was a kid is the Van house in Georgia, which I looked up one time in the encyclopedia and said Van house, and then the owner was Cherokee Indian, and then
Chatsworth, Georgia, Van house, right outside. Here's a fun fact: right outside of Dennis, Georgia. Is the Van house. Seated side by side with Dennis, Georgia, is the Van house. It's very weird. I got to go to Dennis, Georgia, and see why it's named that.
Well,
because our great grandfathers could have been like total crazy Southern. Because I'm gonna tell you about Joe Van. Joe Van was crazy.
Now,
it sounds like your ancestors hung out and Tom's ancestors cut a trail from Dennis to the Van house,
well, they got
so you guys can visit.
They got forced out.
Now, I was literally told by my family that this is part of my ancestry.
Okay, James Van.
Which is funny because I never questioned the fact that other people have the last name Van. Like, there are other Vans.
But that's the number one thing that the park rangers told me. The number one thing about the Van house in Chatsworth, Georgia, is that vans from all across the world come to kind of see if they think there's a lot of rednecks that think they're Native American. Yeah, there's a lot of people a lot of people like you. A lot of whitos driving up, and they're like, "Last name's Van. Came to see the Cherokee masterpiece. They call it the crown jewel of the Cherokee Nation." You want to know why? Because James Van, his father was a Scotsman, his mother was Native American, and that's how he became Native American, right? When he was born, and he worked his way into being very, very high up in the Cherokee tribe. In fact, he is considered to be, based on like inflation, if you made the adjustments, he would have been a billionaire at the time. He was the richest man of the Cherokee Nation.
And this is James Van.
This is James Van. He also was a raging alcoholic monster that would beat his slaves. He'd beat them crazy. In fact, he had favorite slaves, and then his least favorite slaves, he would hide in some sort of downstairs terror chest, and then he'd bury them alive and make them shovel their own graves. He was a real heavy drinker. So he pissed a lot of people off.
This is not my ancestry.
I'm going to tell Tommy all of this.
And like they're advertising this at the house?
Oh, yeah, they're giving you the grit right in front of Maisie. Maisie's not even flinching. Maisie stared right into the park ranger's eyes. They're telling you, like, this man's buried alive. He'd whip him good. They're telling, horrible atrocities.
Now,
that's how you know he's a real piece of junk, because they'll usually at least tone it down for his house or whatever. You know, like.
No, they didn't, because there's other Vans, like his son.
Now, this wasn't in the encyclopedia in the 90s. They left that part out.
His favorite son, he had like 11 children, and he had one favorite son, and I found this to be really weird, and we even asked this question. He had one favorite son that he just donated everything to. All other 11 children just didn't matter.
Like they did that a lot,
It also was really weird, and then he took it and did it like in a European style, meaning in the Cherokee Nation, normally you would leave, if you were the father or the chief, you would leave, and he was a chief. He was very high up within the Cherokee Council. He sat on a lot of councils and made a lot of big decisions. But normally you would leave everything to your daughter. like in Native American history, or especially in Cherokee, I guess, you would normally leave whatever you have to your
the Cherokee princess.
Yeah, there you go. But he left it all to his son, which was he was James, and his son was Joseph. And Joseph is the one that we've all had the listeners send us the pictures of Joseph Van. You look like Joseph Van.
That one.
You have the hair.
Yeah.
They have that picture there. I got to see it. In fact, I got some stuff for you while I was there.
Oh.
Because I figured you'd want to see it. I grabbed some postcards. Here, I'll hand that to you.
Well, first, all white people look alike.
And then here, I got you some stickers. Here, these are for your boys from the Chief Van house.
Okay. This is a bumper sticker that says "My other car is an Indian pony."
And then I got you, this magnet for your car of Colonel Poole from Colonel Poole's barbecue. Yeah, and he's a crazy old man that died that used to serve barbecue. We went to see him too. I'll tell you about Colonel Poole later.
Now I think that Pirate Spot Craig is related to that guy.
Yeah, here's the house. Here's the Van house.
Oh, yeah. I recognize that.
And they chased him out of there. Here's the irony of the Van house is that him being Native American, he also had slaves. He was James was he was reported as being a pretty terrible guy, like to his slaves. He was murdered, and he left everything to his one son, Joe. And the kid's name, because he got wealthier than his own dad. Like, he took his dad's businesses. His dad would make his own whiskey and ran a lot of taverns. Yeah. So James was rich, but his son, Joe, was nicknamed Rich Joe Van. And that guy just was even more of a businessman. Like, he became even, like, 3 times wealthier than his dad. So I'm telling you, the business, he was obsessed with business, this sort of thing. Here's the downfall of the Van house.
You mean how horrible he was?
No, that was his dad. His dad was horrible. James was terrible. Joe was
he couldn't be
not
that
good. He still had slaves. But what's really ironic about this is the house, he hired a white man to tend over the house. And that initiated his downfall, because that was not allowed at the time. Georgia had passed a law where you couldn't have, I guess, a Cherokee land or a Cherokee building or dwelling or plantation run by a white man. So because of that, they took away the land from him. They're like, you broke the law, and we're going to take this land. They drove him from the land. And that's where you get the Trail of Tears that your grandfather would tell you all about. And that part's true. They walked, what was it, 800 miles?
Well, I know the Trail of Tears.
Right, but I know, like, that started all there. They ran them off the land. And
now, this is not my heritage.
You could, the Rangers are saying he could be on the Scots side.
I think that these people are total strangers and have no relation to me whatsoever, and there's no evidence to know, like, if they have any relation to me, but 99% certain that we are a different family completely. But it's funny that people will go there with the same last name and be interested.
There was somebody there while we were there. There was a van while we were there.
Like,
do you look like him?
I'm not compelled to go see this
all white guys
place.
sort of look alike.
Yeah. But it's funny that you went to see this place, and I'd never even been interested in looking at it.
If you like history, though, you would like it, because like, you go in, they give you, like, you watch a little movie on it, and they tell you all about, because it is fascinating to think that somebody of mixed race was able to become a billionaire and live between worlds. The most fascinating thing about the Van house was that you had a man that was running he was doing huge Native American business at the highest level, and had the respect of all the tribes, and and all the different variations of the Cherokee tribe. And then absolutely on the other side, he had European businesses, traders, he had furriers, he had corn, he was making his own whiskey, he had taverns all throughout Georgia. These little taverns, that's how he'd make his money. He was double dipping on each side. He was diversifying, no different than what our business does. I was drawing a lot of, like, strange conclusions. I mean, he diversified, and that's why he was able at a time. And I mean, to have the nickname at the time in, like, the 1800s, to have the nickname Rich Joe Van, and you were a Native American man, that's pretty rare.
And this is when money was gold and silver.
Yeah.
So, like, if you were rich, you had chests of gold and silver about.
So rich that when when they forced him out of the house, and I actually got to see where they threw a log to smoke all the people out of the house, the area where they threw the log, There's this mean general, and he had like the Georgia National Guard with him, and he's like, I'm going to force you out of here. They threw a log up there to smoke everybody out, and the divot where it burned is still there. They haven't repaired it, and you can feel it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's dope.
It's funny with nicknames. Like some people called him Rich Joe Van, others called him Old Murdering Joe. It just depends on if you're on the business side of it, and then if you are on the wrong side of the slaves,
and
Murdering Joe.
They had a mission there too, and what is also weird about this particular house is because the mission was there. And Joseph Van's father, James, had allowed the mission to stay there. They do have really good records, not only of all the people that lived there, but even of the slaves that lived there, like the slaves and who the slaves' husbands were and where they went and which ships they came off of and where they went afterwards. He was so rich, in fact, that after they forced him out of the land, he walked Trail of Tears, moved his whole family, had his daughter die on the way, that he had so much money that when he got there, he just built another mansion. And then I think he was awarded money from the state because they had taken his house, and he got triple the amount back. The guy is just hella good with money.
Joseph Van died in a steamboat explosion.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Dude,
he did.
That doesn't happen much anymore. You don't see that one much anymore. That's a rare obituary nowadays.
That's an interesting way to go.
And the other...
When's the last person who died in a steamboat explosion? It's got to be...
It's got to be startlingly, like...
I can get close. I can get close. Mark Curry, comedian Mark Curry, hanging with Mr. Cooper. Hot water heater accident.
Oh,
I can get close. I can get close on anybody with a steamboat accident. I can get close.
You know, like you mentioned, you start looking at how people lived even 100, 150 years ago, which is not that long, and you're like, man, it's rough, like, real rough. And then you start.
You ever looked at recipes from the 50s?
You start and you start realizing, like, oh yeah, everybody was dying of infections before penicillin, like to the any.
Some people, like your great grandpa James Van, killed by still unknown assailants at Buffington's Tavern.
Yeah, he was hiding out. He'd pissed off so many people. This guy's a real drinker, and he pissed off so many people, and he'd like to run his mouth. And so maybe it's related to me.
And then buried in an unknown grave.
They shot him in the. He walked outside, and he was still drinking. He was hiding out at this little this little tavern. And somebody was in the bushes. This is how hated he was because he's just like the alcohol got its hands on him. Oh. That's what they got its grips on him, and yeah, somebody for a long rifle from the bushes. They shot him right in the heart.
And this says he's a polygamist. That's all it says about that, though. And
yeah, they didn't go much into that.
It says they killed him and they buried his body near a pale fence painted black, with what this article is describing as an unflattering epitaph.
That was his dad. That was James.
Right, James the elder.
Joe, Rich Joe. He was a little more.
He blew up in a steam ship.
Yeah, he was a little more. He was a little more beloved. Rich Joe.
This is also similar to when people describe a bunch of horrible traits they have and then tell me I'm just like you. You're like, oh, Joe Van was he was a horrible, murdering businessman. Alcoholic. And then you're like, oh, that could be your own.
Yeah, you have the same hair.
It sounds familiar.
You look just like him. But you know what's funny and it's also weird is that I've always enjoyed history, and it's cool to see that because this was rolling the dice on going to this one because you had to watch a 15-minute movie ahead of time.
How amazing!
She loved it, dude.
Oh, did
she's like her mom. She's like her mom.
Well, yeah,
and
she
I'm
wants
like, oh my
to
god, she's such a nerd.
Information.
She's like, hey, Dad, look, a slave house. I'm like, all right, okay, keep that down. We don't need to scream that.
Oh, I try to get my sons to read the plaques. They're like, oh god. They're like, we get the gist.
Yeah, I learned about the Moon Eye people.
What is that?
The Cherokees. They found these people, or there's this myth around that area of LJ where there's this wall, this stone wall that was built in the middle of this forest, one of the hikes that we went on. And you go there and you look, and sure enough, there's all this stone kind of stacked up there. And nobody knows how the stones were stacked there. And the Cherokees say that it was the Moon Eye people. And the Moon Eye people were like long blonde hair, long blonde beards, and eyes that couldn't be opened during the day. That's why they called them the Moon Eye people. They would only come at night. I don't know if it was Europeans. They don't know if it was aliens. They don't know if it was just something they made up in order to explain away the wall that it naturally formed there by rocks tumbling. Who knows?
Mole men.
But it's one of those like So me and Maisie were on the hunt. I'm like, hey, I started doing long cons. I'm like, you be on the hunt for moon eye people. Also sounds super racist when you're yelling moon eye people. It doesn't sound nice, right? It's like, be careful yelling moon eye people because it does sound racist.
Mm-hmm. You know, it turns out that a lot of people that live amongst the woods will eat a lot of mushrooms and smoke whatever they get, like whatever plant
they went
find.
Into that.
And then because if you find people that live in nature, they get high a lot.
They went into
all day long. They're getting high.
On the plaque for the moon eye people, there is a portion that says, like, there is one little blurb. It's like they do that thing that a lot of state parks do, where they're like, could it be Europeans? Could it be the aliens? Well, we know that's not probable. Could it be that? And then there's one that says, or could it have just been last night's party? They do that. Oh, they were drinking too much, or they were smoking too much.
They're all hallucinating off mushrooms. Like, people have been taking whatever they could find in nature that get them high for as long as time has been time.
There is also this historical tendency to describe peoples other than you as just like complete and utter animals in certain ways. Look at how the Romans described like people they bumped into, or and pretty much any culture. Like, go back to Mesopotamia and the way they were talking about the Babylonians was like, those dummies, So moon-eyed people, they're probably just describing a neighboring tribe that they didn't like.
Yeah. So Ross, I got to ask you a parenting question, and Daniel, you could weigh in too, although I'd probably know what you're going to say.
You know me pretty well.
But, we're at...
I also don't care about my family as much as you do, so I feel like you need to weigh that into the category of whatever we're talking about.
So because
they don't care about me as much.
We're in line for the ski lift. It's the end of the day. And it's at Snowmass, right? So
that's a good one.
So Daniel's been to Snowmass. It's
beautiful.
It's like one of the nicest ski resorts in Colorado.
You take communion on top of a mountain.
I'm so glad that you asked me to go to that. They told me, they're like, you've never skied before. You got to go to Snowmass. It's amazing.
So but it's expensive as S.
That's why I only did one
rich
run.
People, so we can't afford a week of skiing at Snowmass. Only the rich can, but we can afford one day. And even one day is the lift tickets are $250 a piece for adults and like $240 for kids. So it's like nearly $1,000 in just lift tickets for one day of skiing. And not to mention, you stop at the restaurant for a couple slices of pizza.
Oh, God.
And, I mean,
beers are $20.
4 slices of pizza and 4 drinks, $88 or whatever it is. It's like that.
It's being at Disney for everything.
But it comes with ski rental, all that stuff, right?
Well, no. The ski, we have our own stuff, but if you wanted to ski, it's $1,500.
Dude, I could only do it one. We did one. I think we did like a half a day.
It's so, but we go and do it because it is a real nice mountain, and the rest of the mountains we ski on are like local, like Snowmass.
They keep it perfectly manicured.
Old World War II ski lifts.
I did like the older ski lift though. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's loud.
It's nerve-wracking.
What do you need to dock your iPhone into the ski lift? What's it gonna do? It's gonna get you on top of the mountain.
Dude, the nicer ones.
Oh, they're so nice. You don't even think you're on a ski lift.
Well, footrest. They have also clutches, so when you're getting off, it slows down to let you off gently, like the.
You don't go flying into the snow.
The local mountains are whipping you off.
You didn't tell me sunlight whipped me into the trees, and then they're like, pull out.
Yeah, you're going down. Like, it's embarrassing because if you fall, they have to
I did
slow
fall,
down.
and then the lady had to stop the chair lift.
You have to get ready.
Ski up the mountain like a man.
So
there
anyway,
are people that do that.
Here's my question for you. So it's the end of the day. We're standing in line at Snowmass. Like, rich resort. Everybody around me is rich, right? And most people, like, they're in a different category of rich. Like, they don't even care. A bunch of, they come here all the time for their family vacation. Like,
take it for granted.
You can tell the people that don't are just, it's whatever to them. They're tired of it. And then the people that have spent or saved up their money. It's kind of like the people that go to Disney World. The family's like, this is the one shot we're gonna do all the rides.
Me, I think everybody around me could tell that it was my first time. I'm chirping everything. I'm like, this is glorious. Look, oh man, oh wow, look at this. It's like, shut the hell up, man.
So anyway, we're standing there. Max looks down, $10 bill, right?
Yeah.
So $10 bill is on the floor, and so Max picks it up. He's like, $10.
Hell yeah.
So I looked at it, and I was like, all right. should we turn it into the ski lift operator to teach him a lesson? Like, hey, someone lost $10.
Teach him a lesson.
But the thing is, we're not. If we were at, let's say, the local like Sunlight Mountain or the smaller ski resort, like the cheaper one, I may have turned it in because maybe someone there would go back and try to be like, hey, I lost my $10. But I'm doing the math, and I'm like, these rich people around here they're never going to even realize they lost $10, much less come back to this lift to try to ask the ski operators like, hey, did anybody report $10 missing? You know what I'm saying? So like, no one's gonna get back their $10. It's an impossibility, right? So if I tell Max,
I will give him no amount of money.
He needs to turn it in because it's not her, but no one's ever going, like the guy's gonna definitely pocket it.
That's not the type of lessons you need to teach your son. That's not a good lesson.
So I like got on one knee and I said, Max,
will you marry me?
I was like, normally we turn this in because it's the right thing to do. It's but
these people deserve.
But no one's ever going to come back and look for this $10 because everybody here is rich. So it's yours now, and I just gave it to him.
Here you go.
And I didn't
tuck it right in his snow boots.
And so, and that was it. And so, do you think that was the right thing to do,
yes.
or should I have walked him over to the ski lift operator and said, "We want to report this as missing," and turn just for the lesson because he don't really need the $10, whatever.
Am I going the way you thought I would go?
Yeah.
This is dumb. This is a giant waste of time. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. This is not a life lesson. You're not teaching him to be a better person. I found $50 in JCPenney when I was Max's age, and me and my dad started cartwheeling, dude. We're high-fiving each other. He's like, we got Chick-fil-A all day, mother. My dad's partying. He's hugging me. I think he broke his necklace off. He's freaking out so hard. We were jumping up and down in JCPenney. I found it under the coat rack in the men's section of the Daytona Beach Volusia Mall. And my dad, $50. Oh, you're my favorite gay son. He's hugging me. We're high-fiving. What are you doing?
All right, so this is not a thing. Because I started feeling guilty. I was like, maybe I should have turned it into a lesson.
Well, here's what you did wrong. All right. When you took him aside and you said, normally what you would do is you would turn this, that's the right thing to do. But in this instance, what we're going to do is what you did was you programmed into him that there are right and wrong ways to do things, but at certain times there are exceptions to the right and wrong.
Whoa, I didn't think about that.
That's where you made a misstep. You should have just been like, yeah, money on the ground, pick it up, that's yours. That's fine. Because that's
Keep it simple, stupid. Kiss.
Now you've established there is a right and wrong way to do things. What is right is to turn this money in. But now we've made a judgment that these people here, the richos, and then that can be he's going to be reading he's going to be on planetprison.com with Alex Jones blaming everything on he's going to be right there next to Kanye in the next video making fun of the Israeli prime minister, once you pick a group to blame things on and make exceptions for, you can make that happen for anything.
Well, my point was to them is that no one's going to come back and look for this, because if we're at a place in an environment that someone could use this $10, then I would say.
But you see how you complicate things, though, right? Like you kind of made it. I mean, I do see what Ross is saying now. I would never take it that far. Yeah. You take things so far.
I know, You're just I'm overthinking it.
You should be like $10. Yeah. That's it. It just ended right there.
Now,
just a fist pump.
All you did was convince him that he can steal money and he just has to find the right way to do it to get it past the data approved. And then,
if I could justify this.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe this makes me a bad person, but I honestly don't believe that I've ever given up any amount of money that I've ever found. I believe that I've kept it every single time.
Well, there would be nowhere to turn it in.
No, for any, I got a card one time and there was money and I kept it. There was a card in there, they're checking it. I cashed it.
Yeah, because if you find $20 on the ground, where are you going to turn it in? There's no one's, you know what I'm saying? But here.
What's the most you've ever found?
I mean, I think I found $50 bill one time in the mall or something.
That was my story. You made that up.
I did the right thing one time.
It could have been. That's not my memory.
You were with me? What the hell's happening?
I was like,
you're my dad?
It could have been something like that.
I was. We were at a yard sale, and there was a box of a bunch of encyclopedias, Tom, and I was like, that might be good for the kids to have around. Just it's old and like we got internet now, but like maybe just have some like encyclopedias around from the browse.
I loved mine, man.
And like I almost just picked up the box and like bought it and walked into my car, and it'd be a different story if I had. But I like picked it up to flip through it to see, and like a $2 bill fell out. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. So I picked it up, and I was like, I'll just give this to the lady running the yard sale. And I kept flipping through. And like I flipped through this book, and bills just kept falling out of it, like 20s.
That's a magical money
50.
book.
And I picked up another book, and the same thing.
Money.
And this is like kind of like a ritzier neighborhood north of me a little bit.
So some old person was hiding money in their books.
Oh, they like to do that. They get crazy and they think their books are their grandkids.
I went to the lady and I was like, ma'am, you should probably, this one, I took her the box. I was like, you should probably go through. I just went through 2 books and like $200 in money fell out. And she's like, oh, those are my sons. And I think he would put his birthday money in it to flatten out the bills.
And I knew about this, and I was giving it away.
Just forgot about it.
Man, dude, you're a good person.
You are a good person.
And I went home and I was like, I wish I would have just bought those books without looking at them all.
Yeah, I'll give you $1 for these books.
I've honestly been put to the test on that. Like when that old man who was a pervert, when me and my dad had figured out that all of those Joe Montana rookie cards that he had, there were like 7 of them or whatever. We knew they were like $250 a piece.
Yeah.
And that my dad was willing to let me stand there next to that pervert who's like, he's got lovely hair. Like my dad was anything for the bargain. We got all those cards. We got all those cards for 5 cents a piece. And my dad's just standing there next to me, his hand in his pocket on a gun or something.
Okay, well, that's a good question. So if you go to a estate sale and
that's just life,
and you see something that's worth $10,000,
Jimmy does it all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Jim Colbert steals from the elderly.
Is it your responsibility to tell the people?
Absolutely
or
not.
You just buy it, but is that actually stealing?
Even a lot of
it
times,
is sort of stealing. I feel like it is.
You know it's worth $10,000 and you bought it for $1.
I do it and I feel like it's stealing.
A lot of times, because the algorithm will throw at me like thrifting videos quite frequently, and a lot of them are like some dude at a garage sale, just old people who don't know what they have.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like somebody will walk up when this dude's buying a fancy Tiffany lamp or something, and then somebody will walk up and be like, "Hey, you should Google that and see how much it's worth before you sell it to this guy for $2."
Oh, you got to strangle that person.
And well, the old person is always like, I don't care. Give me $5 for it. They don't care. They just want $5 in the end.
They're done with life.
They could have done
eBay's too hard. They can't get online.
And a
sell
lot
stuff.
of times,
they're
when
like,
you
I just
say,
want
it's
this
like,
garbage
oh,
out
look,
of here.
this is worth, this is worth $100. It's not really.
No.
It's worth like $25 to whoever will buy it, but nobody's buying them.
Yeah, you're right.
Know?
It would take you 100 man hours to sell this.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how much is your time worth?
But going back to your encyclopedia filled with money,
it's so
if I'm just answering honestly, I think I would have tried to get out of there without them on. Like, if somebody's like, he's taking the money, I'd be like, I'm like driving.
You take a couple
and
bucks.
that makes me question myself a little bit, man.
Yeah, you are a good person by telling them, hey, there's a bunch of money in here. You may, thank you, my son.
I think that's my son.
And you know what the worst part is? It was the situation you're describing, where again, this lady, she's just selling a bunch of junk, and I came to her and I was like, hey, these books are full of money, and she's like, oh, that's nice, thank you. She did not care at all. It made no impact on her life. If I would have left with all the money, at this point we were like broke, so it would have been huge to us. Made no impact on her life at all. She probably just put it together, gave it to her kid the next time. He probably spent it on.
I got another one. I do this a lot. I'm a terrible person. Okay, we went to Burlington. We went to Burlington behind Crazy Buffet.
Did you see the Coke Factory?
We went to go to Crazy Buffet, but it was closed. I think they had the health department thing on there, but I love me a good buffet. So Andrew and I end up at Burlington, or walking around, and we needed luggage, and there was like a nice JanSport. You know, the backpack company?
Yeah.
They also make luggage. I think you guys have had a bag before, but it's like, it looks like it's really well-made JanSport luggage.
Yeah.
So we found one, and it was like a big one. We needed to replace our big, giant luggage, big piece of luggage, like the biggest one you would have for like a mom and dad size. And so I bought that one, and I was like, this is great. We go up there, 50% off. Normally it's like $70 for this big, or $100 for this thing, and it was like $50. We pay it. We get home. Unzip it, open it up. There's a littler one inside, exactly the same. Open that one, fold it out. There's a littler one inside.
Russian nesting doll.
The Russian nesting doll. Somebody who put out this luggage did not take out all the different pieces that were in there. There were 5 pieces of luggage. There was a big suitcase, a medium, a little, a carry-on, and like a dop kit. in there.
And it wasn't a set?
It was a set, but they only sold me one piece of luggage for $50, and the whole set was Russian nested in there. And I did not say a word.
They sold it to you. You made it home, and like.
Then I went back to try and buy another one.
Well, that's where.
And they had figured it out, and so I snuck out. That's what makes me different than you. That's the difference between me and you, Dr. Dre.
Oh, did I ever tell you a story about going to the convenience store and then taking out $20 and it gave me $40 Yes. Technically, so I was in college and I went to it was like a small independently owned convenience store where they sold weed pipes and stuff like that.
That's all they have in Georgia, by the way. And every tiny service station just sells weed in Georgia. They have
like Delta 9.
It's just weed. It just says weed everywhere. It's weed, pipes, bongs.
I got news for you. It's not just Georgia. The gas station by my house is a head
It's just
shop.
everywhere, dude. It's just weed everywhere. Everything is weed. All sales are final.
They got mushrooms in my gas station. They got mushrooms and kratom. It's like
there's no rules anymore.
Once we knew that AI was taking over, we're just like, put the weed in the convenience store.
I full on just bringing my weed on the plane, openly in the car. I used to take it out and put it in an Advil. I bring the full prescription.
I smoke it and just blow it in my sweatshirt.
I have it in my jeans and my body. I am not afraid.
I'm always carrying it.
I wear a Brittany Griner jersey when I fly.
So what was I saying?
Weed. We're talking about. You were talking.
Dan stole a bunch of luggage, and that reminded you of a time.
All the money you got at the independent gas station.
Yeah. So I'm at the ATM, the dusty
please
ATM,
forget it again.
And then I took out $20. They gave me $40, and then I was like, oh my god, this ATM is broken. It's giving me 20.
This is like Ross's Encyclopedia.
$20 extra at a time, right? So I remember I did it 3 times or whatever, and then I was like, I need to leave, and because the guy's gonna start getting suspicious.
Where can I get a yarn mustache?
So then I leave and I come back and I tell Crystal.
I need a Miami Dolphins hat.
I remember when Crystal, when you get off work from Foot Locker, you gotta come over to this ATM. When technically we're stealing.
And tonight, and you did that move where you're happy, or you didn't want to tell her the surprise. You're like, and tonight, baby, we're going to Carrabba's.
Yeah, I never even thought the owner of this place pays for that money or
you know
whatever.
That move where you're like Billy Bob Thornton, then you have the money and you're calling your wife and you're like, steaks tonight.
Oh,
I don't think so. That's probably an independent setup. He probably just
he just gets the service fee.
Maybe leases it to have one on site or something.
A lot of times that's why they raise the fee, right? The fee is so high to cover the cost of it being there.
But I'm stealing from someone. All right, I think
just the bank from yourself. You'll be taking your own money.
Oh yeah. Well, then I realized that it was counting the $40. I overdrew my account $300. And all that for nothing.
I've been paid a little extra before, but never made it to my bank account. You know, the one where you have to give your check back. Yeah, that wasn't right. Here's the real amount, idiot. But
it is interesting. Now with Ross finding money in books, I feel like
you'd never find money in books.
Well, you're telling them hey, someone hid the money here, and now
honey, I found money in this audiobook.
But essentially, it's the same as if when you see a vase and they're selling it for $5, and you look it up on eBay and you realize it's $500. You're stealing money from them, right?
I mean, kind of, yeah.
But again, most of the time they don't care.
They have something, they want to sell it, and they have a price they're asking for it. If you have a little bit more knowledge and you can take advantage of that, why not?
That's how business has gone on for
exactly.
What about precious heirlooms? Because for a hot minute, my mom's wedding ring was lost inside my house, and we sold it without finding the wedding ring, right? And then it was then I think it was days later, maybe even a week later, that Andrea was digging through some stuff, and in my mom getting older, she'd gotten maybe a bit more paranoid and had wrapped up her rings in little pieces of tissue paper and crammed them into the toe of an old jewelry box or something. I was well, that'll save it. That'll protect it, Mom, where nobody can find it, including the ghosts. Ugh.
What are your guys' stance on selling something is broken, but not divulging the information?
Are you talking about my kid's car sitting in my yard right now? That I'm gonna have to try to
it works perfectly, yeah.
Because that's another thing with you.
That happens.
Because people are buyer beware. It's on them.
You've been doing this for decades.
No.
Not selling, buying. You've been buying broken stuff for decades.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody coming back to me with
Me
it,
neither.
so I over-disclose.
Yes.
I'll type out if I'm selling something, every ding and scratch and mark and thing I think might be wrong with it. I put it all in there so that if someone comes back like, oh, the engine blew, I'm like, yeah, it said right in there, blown engine.
I go one step further. I don't want to be around those people, so I just throw my things away. I don't want to be around those people, so I'm like, I'll take this thing that's broken and either give it to somebody else or just push it off a cliff.
Oh, speaking of that, so recently with our AirTND,
we getting complaints again?
No, well, yes.
Puerto Rican burnout party?
No. This is different style of complaint. So we like Airbnb now does this thing for you where it will adjust the price based on other prices to help you get to be the most
to be
competitive in the market.
Okay.
And then essentially what
is it AI? We use AI to dictate the prices.
It's something like that, and it helps you rent it more, so it'll help you have more bookings, but the prices will be adjusted.
And more complaints.
So
you're welcome.
So now, like, you could rent our place sometimes for like under $99, like during the week.
My God.
So or like $99 around there. It's like
a bunch of Bulgarians in there. You could pay it for $15.
And we forgot it's just a button you click on Airbnb. It's like, okay, we'll do competitive pricing, and because I was like, we're losing money, we need to do something.
Nobody beats us. Nobody.
And then Paul was telling me, and other people are like, oh, yeah, I'm making money in Sanford of my Airbnb. I'm like, wait a minute.
You listen to other businessmen?
Well, I just
assume you're going to do it your way.
I assume I'm doing it wrong, which is probably the right assumption.
Yeah.
Ross knows.
Yeah.
And then we've been getting tons of complaints recently.
Tons of complaints? You didn't tell me this.
Someone said
there's a doo-doo in the toilet.
Someone said there was a hair on the dishes. That was a complaint. I've
been wearing the dishes as a hat.
And then
my dish hat.
The same person complained that there was a hair on the sheets.
Well, this person obviously is somebody that doesn't like hair. This is an anti-hair person.
And then there was some other.
There's hair everywhere.
Oh, and they want the
dashboard confessional.
They want the gift bags we promised, which we haven't been.
We're out of gift bags.
Which used to be fine to say we're out of gift bags, but some people are like.
I demand. I'm not leaving till I get my goddamn gift bag.
Yeah. And so we're raising the prices.
Gotta get the riffraff out of there.
One complaint guy was like, there's not even any hair clippers. I had to bring my own.
Oh, they're bitching about the soap. Not enough soap.
Not enough soap. I got a big butt.
And so it turns out
I got a huge butt.
The less you pay, more you complain.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
You know, the problem is the super host that started putting everything in there, and I'm looking at you, where you guys started putting, let's put 25 Keurig cups. Let's put the cream. We got to have them. They need everything. I'm Willy Wonka. I'm giving you everything. No, it should be a bed, and you get the shower, and the soap, and there's one thing of toilet paper. Use it sparingly. Don't go crazy.
Yeah.
The water runs, the blanket's clean.
Yeah.
Go about your business.
People have called and
it's
said,
not a hotel, dude.
There's no creamer here.
Yeah, well, I got your creamer right here.
And then we're like, I'm sorry, there's K-Cups and stuff. There's a market, and they're like, we'll wait for the creamer. We had to drive up there. And
I didn't drive it up there.
I had to deliver creamer. And the front,
they call him the creamer man.
Yeah, only because they threatened to
Tom had to go deliver a bad review to these two old ladies. These two old ladies living up there, these bitchy old ladies. He had to drive up there. Yeah. They made him wear a tuxedo when he delivered it.
Creamer. And then I didn't know what to buy.
And he did this. He was like, yo, creamer, man. Thank you. Put it on the table, you piece of ass.
I went to Publix and I was like, what kind of creamer? So I got like French vanilla and red.
I like plain.
I got a bunch of different.
I'm American, you idiot.
And then I put it in a bag and I delivered it. The front door rang the doorbell, ran away.
So there's a fun new game for you listeners. Get the AirTND up in Sanford for a night and see what the most unreasonable request you can make of Tom Van.
Get your creamer delivered by Tom Van. Cream Man.
I'll look at your Facebook. If you're a BDM, I'm going to give you nothing. And it's the old ladies that complain about
the old ladies.
creamer and
what else have they complained about? Oh, we had a pitcher falling on
the
the
noise.
lady's head.
That happened to us at the TD. Airbnb.
That's a legitimate
we had an old lady, these two old ladies are banging and a pitcher fell on her head.
That was a BDM. We only screw over the BDMs the worst. Like there was the water was turned off. It was a BDM.
Which old lady was complaining about the biker gang doing the burnout contest?
Well, no, there was just the noise from the bar next door.
The party bar.
It is loud on a Sunday. We had to put it in there.
Goes hard.
We're like super loud on Sundays.
Yeah.
Real bad.
real bad.
Anyway, all right. We gotta get out of here. Ross, where are you gonna be?
Check out the Orlando Talk Show with me, Ross McCoy, on your favorite podcast app. A bunch of good shows. Check out the ones with Tom, Dan, Sam to get you started, and there's a bunch of local comedians, Florida authors, all kinds of interviews there.
There you go. Appreciate you being here, man. Thank you so much.
You gonna be doing stand up anywhere?
Yeah, Bull and Bush, first and third Saturday every month. Oh yeah, and come see me at the Improv April 11th. Hometown hero David Jolly coming back to town, and I'll be hosting for him at the Orlando Improv or Funny Bone, depending on how caught up you are on your comedy.
I think we will be at that show. I think I'm already talking to him about getting some tickets, and I know a lot of BDMs are coming out there to support you guys.
It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Funnybone.orlando.com.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Awesome. Cool. Is it lunchtime?
It is lunch.
We're going to lunch.